So, hey guys, Chaucer here, and yeah, in this episode of OPTC 101, I'm going to be talking about the timer mechanic. I have 5 units here. We have the timer mechanic. We start by looking at Halloween Law. Timer mechanic is usually described as after one turn has passed, or yeah, for one turn after, stuff like that. It's sadly very differently for all units. But here it clearly says after one turn you'll get this. So the way timer buffs work is that when you use the special, you'll get a timer, and the timer has either 1 or 2 turns. And after 1 or 2 turns has passed, you will get the buff that, yeah, comes together with the special that is described in the special. So we're going to look at some real life examples of this. Some units have a 2-turn timer like this Moria and Rumble Lucy. So those type of specials get a timer with a 2-turn on it. So we're going to be looking at the differences between 1 and 2-turn timers. But I want to say that in most scenarios, they work the same. There are only pretty niche scenarios where it matters, and I'll go through both of those. But yeah, first I want to show the time buff in general. And I'm going to show you a normal situation with 1-turn timer and 2-turn timer. See, I built this team for Garb Challenge NL that has both the Sabo and the Moria. So Sabo has a 1-turn timer, as you see there on the clock. So that means after 1 turn has passed, we'll get the buff described in Sabo specials. In the case of Sabo, it will be a chain boost. So as you see, a turn has passed, so the timer goes away. And yeah, so now the buff will appear and we get the chain boost from the timer. Now we'll see it when we use the Moria. Moria has a 2-turn timer, but in these scenarios when you move through a stage, it doesn't matter. Let's say I just 1-tapped here and didn't kill, then the timer will go to 1 and we wouldn't get a buff. But when you move stages, first a turn passes when you move stage, and then a turn passes with the preemptive. So functionally going through stages means that 1 and 2-turn timer works the same. And that's the main reason to use these specials, is that you can get buffs on 2 different stages. Now we look at one of the examples where it matters if you have a 1 or 2-turn timer. First we're using the 1-turn timer here with Sabo. And yeah, this is before the final stage of NL. So we're setting it up now so that we can take out NL without using any specials, because you get special binded against NL and it's hard to remove it because you get feared as well. So yeah, using specials a turn before is a very common strategy. And yeah, for strength, Sabo is a very good option since you get both the color affinity and the chain boost. And we can use Snakeman Super Tie special. So yeah, here we set up so we have a ton of buffs without having to use any specials final stage against NL. So yeah, pretty common strategy you can use for a strength team. But now we're going to take a look at using a 2-turn timer in this scenario. And this actually matters because I want you to keep in mind that NL has the red Haki mechanic, and basically it clears all your buffs. So it means that when we move on now, he will remove all buffs. And as you see, when we move stage, the timer is still at 1. And that means that the timer gets removed here. The Sabo timer didn't get removed because it was just a 1-turn timer. It disappeared when we swap stages, but the 2-turn timer only goes away after the preemptive. So you can't use 2-turn timer in that case. To use a 2-turn timer against this scenario, you have to do like this example. You set up so you stall an extra turn, so as you see here. I set up so I almost kill the last guy. So now the timer becomes 1. We still have a lot of matching orbs. We just have to take him out. And now when the timer is at 1, we can go to the final stage against NL. And we just ignore that scenario. Like, this is a pretty common scenario. Like, this is the same against like the Navy Garb Challenge. And like clearing buffs in general is pretty common. So just keep in mind, if you use timer in this scenario, like, it matters if it's a 1-turn timer or a 2-turn timer. So as you see here, we got an easy kill this time. Now we're going to look at a different scenario, because it would be dumb if 2-turn timers were always bad. But there are scenarios where 2-turn timers are better. I'll show one scenario here against Colo Neptune. We're at stage 4 against Fisher Tiger. And Fisher Tiger is a boss that revives with very little HP. So in this case we're using the Sabo special here. And we want to carry over the color affinity to the final stage, so that bullet does more damage against Colo Neptune. But as you'll see here, Fisher Tiger does revive. And yeah, that means that the 1 turn passes, and we get the chain boost here, and we don't get it for the final stage. So in this case, it's actually better to have a 2-turn timer, because now we get the War boost from Lucy special this stage. We get a 2-turn timer, so when we get to the revive, it's still at 1 turn, so we don't get the timer buff, but the timer expires when we get to Colo Neptune and we get the buff final stage. So yeah, this is like the main scenario where a 2-turn timer is better. There's also like scenarios where you just can't kill in 1 turn, but you get them pretty low and you want to buff next stage anyway. So in that cases, 2-turn timer is also good. But I say in most cases you'd prefer a 1-turn timer. Sadly, situations like these are pretty uncommon as well. Revive is usually a final stage mechanic in general. But as you see, 1-turn timer. Move on to final stage here. Timer disappears and we'll get the War boost from Lucy's special here. Lucy has a bit weird special where it's first an War boost and then it's an attack boost final stage. So yeah, I just set up a team that could beat Colo Neptune. This isn't a good team, like I just wanted to showcase the 1-turn versus 2-turn timer, so I figured I'd beat the stage as well since we're already at it. Like, this is a very old content, so it's not hard to beat the team with suboptimal teams. Okay, we're moving on to one final clip here. I wanted to showcase the difference between perfect and timer, because they are basically the same. They have the same end result. Like a 1-turn timer is the same as a perfect buff, in that you get the buff the following stage. And it's actually good because you can combine them and set up multiple buffs for the next stage. The problem, there is a difference though that I discovered, and it's that the perfect buff applies as soon as you meet the condition. So even if the perfect buff gets removed, you still get the buff, as you'll see here. But if timer is removed, it never gets applied. So as you see here against Akainu, we will get the War boost from the perfect buff, but the attack boost from timer is not applied because the timer got removed. So it's just a weird finicky thing, like it doesn't really matter much, but yeah, now it's out there at least. But yeah, combining timer and attack buff is really good in general. So yeah, I hope you could learn something about the timer buff. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.